Let me tell you something most people won't. You are wasting your time trying to fix things and people that were never your job to fix. You're out there trying to prove yourself to people who don't even see your worth. You're chasing validation, approval, and love when the real work has always been you. The moment you stop trying to control what's outside of you and start mastering what's inside of you, your world begins to change. Because when you focus on yourself, your energy shifts. You stop reacting. You stop begging for peace, and instead, you become the source of it. You want better relationships? Focus on yourself. You want more success? Focus on yourself. You want respect? Focus on yourself. See, everything you want is connected to the person you're becoming, not the one you're pretending to be for others, but the one who wakes up every morning and says, I'm not competing with anyone. I'm improving me. People think focusing on yourself is selfish. It's not. It's survival. Because when you grow, you lift everything around you. When you heal, you stop bleeding on people who didn't cut you. The truth is, most people never learn how powerful they are because they spend their whole life looking sideways, comparing, envying, scrolling. But when you turn that focus inward, everything changes. You stop asking, why don't they treat me right? And start asking, why do I allow it? You stop saying, I wish I had what they have, and start saying, how can I build my own version of success? Your peace, your confidence, your success. They all come from discipline, not distraction. So stop explaining yourself. Stop chasing closure. Stop begging for understanding. Use that energy to build, to learn, to rise. Because when you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, everything else, I promise you, starts to fall into place. So today, I challenge you not to chase, not to prove, not to please, but to focus. Focus on your mindset. Focus on your growth. Focus on your power. And watch how your life rearranges itself around that energy, not because the world changed, but because you did. Master yourself first. Everything else will follow. Before you try to fix the world, fix what's within you. Before you try to change others, learn to master your own emotions, thoughts, and reactions. Most people spend their entire lives trying to control the uncontrollable. Their partner's behavior, their boss's attitude, their friend's loyalty, the outcome of every situation. But the truth is, the only real control you ever have is over yourself. And when you master that, you become unstoppable. Mastery of self is not about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about knowing your triggers, understanding your weaknesses, and recognizing your patterns before they control you. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be anger or defensiveness. But when you've mastered yourself, you no longer let emotions dictate your response. You pause. You think. You respond with strength, not reaction. That's real power. The kind that doesn't shout, doesn't prove, doesn't chase. It simply is. You see, the problem isn't that life is unfair. It's that most people haven't learned to manage themselves in an unfair world. When things go wrong, they panic. When people disappoint them, they crumble. But if you master yourself, nothing outside of you can truly break you. The storm might come, but you stand tall because your foundation is solid. You've built emotional discipline, mental strength, and the ability to adapt no matter what life throws at you. Self-mastery begins with brutal honesty. You have to look at yourself without excuses or filters. Ask the hard questions. Why do I get angry so quickly? Why do I care so much about what people think? Why do I keep repeating the same mistakes? The truth can be uncomfortable, but it's the only path to growth because you can't change what you refuse to confront. The more you understand yourself, the more power you gain over your life. People who lack self-mastery live in constant reaction. They get pulled into drama, manipulated by emotions, and controlled by external circumstances. But when you've mastered yourself, you become centered. You move with intention. You stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter and start investing it into what does: your peace, your progress, your purpose. You begin to attract situations and people that align with your growth instead of your chaos. Mastering yourself also means mastering your mind. Your thoughts shape your world. What you believe becomes what you experience. If your internal dialogue is negative, if you constantly tell yourself you're not good enough, not strong enough, not capable enough, then that's exactly what your life will reflect. But when you train your mind to focus on what's possible instead of what's missing, everything shifts. Your confidence grows. Your decisions become clearer. You start to act from faith, not fear. And mastery is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Every day, you wake up with two choices: to let your emotions run you or to take charge of them, to let distractions control you or to focus on what truly matters, to let fear dictate your steps or to act with courage even when you're uncertain. Each small decision builds your character. Each moment of discipline strengthens your foundation. When you master yourself, you stop comparing your journey to others. You realize everyone's timeline is different. You stop rushing your growth because you understand that real transformation takes time. You start appreciating progress instead of perfection. You no longer chase instant gratification. You build long-term fulfillment. There's a kind of calm that comes from self-mastery. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being in control of your emotions. You can still feel anger, sadness, disappointment, but you don't let those emotions run your life. You let them move through you without letting them destroy your peace. That's what separates the powerful from the powerless. In mastering yourself, you also learn the art of silence. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to prove your point to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You choose your battles wisely. You understand that not every action deserves a reaction and not every noise deserves your attention. You protect your energy because you know it's your greatest currency. When you master yourself, you develop self-respect. You stop tolerating disrespect, manipulation, or mediocrity from others or from yourself. You raise your standards not out of arrogance, but out of self-awareness. You begin to walk differently, talk differently, and think differently because you understand your worth. People sense it. They may not know what changed, but they feel your energy. It's grounded. It's confident. It's unshakable. Self-mastery also means taking responsibility for your life. No more blaming your parents, your past, or your circumstances. You own your choices. You own your reactions. You own your growth. Because the moment you stop blaming, you start evolving. Responsibility is power. It gives you control over your destiny. It's easy to point fingers. It's hard to look in the mirror. But that's where real transformation begins. The mirror never lies. It shows you the truth of who you are and who you're becoming. Mastering yourself means facing that reflection with courage, not judgment, and deciding to do better every single day. Once you master yourself, everything else begins to align. Your relationships improve because you're no longer seeking validation. You're bringing value. Your work becomes more meaningful because you're operating from clarity, not confusion. Your confidence grows because it's rooted in self-trust, not external approval. People spend their lives searching for balance, peace, and happiness, not realizing it all starts from within. The outside world is only a reflection of your inner world. If your mind is chaotic, your life will be too. If your mind is focused and disciplined, your world will follow suit. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. You can't demand respect if you don't respect yourself. You can't find peace in the world if you haven't found peace within. Everything begins with you, your mindset, your habits, your boundaries, your choices. So before you try to change the world, master yourself. Before you chase success, master your discipline. Before you seek love, master your peace. Because when you do that, you won't have to chase what's meant for you. It will naturally gravitate toward you. That's the quiet strength of self-mastery. It doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't fight for control, it embodies it. It doesn't seek approval, it commands respect. And from that foundation, everything begins to fall perfectly into place. Growth begins when you stop seeking validation and start building value. Most people spend their lives performing for an audience that isn't even watching. They chase approval from friends, family, society, even strangers online. They want to be seen, liked, and accepted. But in that chase for validation, they forget to build something real within themselves. Validation is temporary. Value is permanent. When you live for validation, your worth depends on the applause. When you live for value, your worth becomes unshakable. Validation is addictive because it gives you a quick hit of importance. Someone likes your post, compliments your outfit, praises your work, and for a moment you feel enough. But the feeling fades and you start craving the next dose. It's a cycle that traps your confidence in the opinions of others. The truth is, you'll never find real growth there. Growth starts when you turn inward and ask yourself, what am I building? What am I contributing? What am I becoming? Because validation feeds the ego, but value feeds the soul. When you stop chasing approval, you start focusing on mastery. You stop doing things just to be seen and start doing them to be better. You shift from, I hope they like me, to, I'm going to make something I'm proud of. That's when transformation happens. You stop performing and start progressing. You stop worrying about how you look and start focusing on who you are. People who constantly seek validation live in fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. They change their words, their style, even their beliefs just to fit in. But in trying to please everyone, they lose themselves. When you start building value, instead, you stand taller. You no longer need to prove yourself because your work, your energy, your character speak louder than any opinion. You become grounded. People can sense it. They respect you not because you demand it, but because you've earned it. Value comes from contribution. It's the skills you sharpen, the wisdom you develop, the integrity you maintain, the discipline you practice. It's the unseen work you put in when nobody is watching. Building value means asking yourself what you can give, not just what you can get. It means creating something that lasts beyond attention spans. Think about the people who truly inspire you. It's not the ones chasing clout. It's the ones who are so focused on growth, excellence, and purpose that validation becomes irrelevant. They've built themselves into something solid. That's what growth looks like, moving from seeking recognition to seeking impact. When you stop seeking validation, you free yourself from comparison. You no longer need to measure your worth by someone else's timeline. You stop asking, why are they ahead of me? And start asking, how can I level up? You start competing with your past self, not the person next to you. That's where power lies, in self-competition. Every day, just aim to be a little sharper, a little wiser, a little stronger than you were yesterday. Building value is a quiet process. It happens when you stay disciplined while others get distracted. It happens when you choose long-term fulfillment over short-term applause. It's when you study, learn, fail, get back up, and repeat, even when no one notices. People might not clap for you now, But one day they'll look back and wonder how you did it. And you'll know you did it by focusing on building, not begging. Growth requires humility. You have to be willing to be bad at something before you get good at it. You have to be okay with being misunderstood before you're respected. You have to walk alone sometimes before others see your vision. When you're addicted to validation, you won't survive those stages. The silence, the judgment, the waiting, they'll crush you. But when you're focused on value, you'll understand that every season of struggle is part of your foundation. You'll use it. You'll grow from it. Value is also about integrity. Anyone can act confident in front of an audience, but true growth is when you hold yourself to the same standard when no one's watching. It's about doing the right thing when it's hard, being honest even when it costs you, staying disciplined even when no one notices. That's real character, the kind that doesn't need applause because it's rooted in something deeper. Validation is loud. Value is quiet. Validation screams for attention. Value commands it. Validation is fleeting. Value endures. The people who build value are the ones who outlast trends, outgrow opinions, and outshine doubt. They don't need to prove who they are. Their work and their growth speak for them. The moment you stop needing everyone to like you, you become free. You stop editing yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You start walking in your truth, even if it's uncomfortable. You stop explaining your vision to people who can't see it because your focus isn't on being understood. It's on becoming undeniable. Growth isn't about showing the world how great you are. It's about becoming so grounded in who you are that you don't need the world to confirm it. When you build value, your confidence comes from competence. You trust yourself because you've done the work. You don't need to say, I deserve this. You've earned it. You've built it. You've lived it. Building value means taking responsibility for your development. No one's going to hand you confidence. No one's going to gift you discipline. You have to earn it through consistency, effort, and patience. You have to show up even when it's hard, even when no one's cheering, even when it feels pointless, because every small step compounds. Every act of discipline shapes you into someone capable of more. Validation may open doors, but value keeps them open. The world will always recognize true value, maybe not instantly, but eventually. The people who last are not the ones who chase visibility, but the ones who deliver substance. You might not be the loudest, but if you're the most consistent, the most authentic, the most valuable, you'll win in the long run. Growth begins the moment you stop asking for permission to be great. The moment you stop needing someone else to say you're good enough. The moment you start realizing that the only person you need approval from is the one in the mirror. You stop performing and start producing. You stop impressing and start improving. You stop chasing applause and start chasing purpose. Because when you focus on building value, you create something no one can take away from you. Skill, resilience, confidence, peace. Validation fades, opinions shift, people forget, but what you build within yourself stays. The world might doubt you, ignore you, misunderstand you, but it can't deny what's real. And what's real is the strength, discipline, and wisdom that come from growth without the need for applause. Discipline and self-focus turn chaos into clarity. Most people live their lives reacting to everything around them. They wake up already overwhelmed, pulled in 100 directions, controlled by distractions, notifications, and noise. They chase what's urgent instead of what's important. They confuse movement with progress and business with purpose. But the truth is, without discipline and self-focus, your life will always feel chaotic. Discipline brings structure to your thoughts, order to your actions, and clarity to your goals. It's the bridge between who you are and who you're capable of becoming. Discipline is not about restriction, it's about direction. It's not punishment, it's power. It's what separates those who talk about change from those who actually create it. Most people wait for motivation to strike, but discipline doesn't need motivation. It acts regardless of mood, fear, or comfort. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. Discipline stays. It's the quiet decision you make every single day to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. That's where real transformation begins. Self-focus is the companion of discipline. It's the ability to channel your energy into what truly matters without getting distracted by everything that doesn't. It's understanding that your time, attention, and energy are limited resources, and how you spend them defines the quality of your life. When you lack self-focus, you scatter yourself thin, you say yes to everything and end up accomplishing nothing. But when you become focused, intentional, and selective, the noise fades and clarity takes its place. Chaos exists when you try to do everything for everyone. Clarity arrives when you focus on doing the right things for yourself. Discipline gives you the control to prioritize. It helps you choose long-term fulfillment over short-term satisfaction. It teaches you to delay gratification, to sacrifice comfort now for strength later. Because every time you choose discipline, you build a stronger version of yourself. You build trust with your own mind. You prove that you can rely on yourself, and that builds confidence no one can take away. In a world obsessed with instant results, discipline teaches patience. Growth doesn't happen overnight. You won't see progress every day, but if you stay consistent, if you keep showing up, the results will come. The ones who master discipline don't always move fast, but they always move forward. They're not chasing shortcuts. They're building foundations. Self-focus also means knowing when to disconnect from distractions, from opinions, from anything that drains your energy. It means setting boundaries without guilt. It means understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup. When you're constantly giving your attention to things that don't serve your goals, you're depleting yourself. Self-focus helps you realign. It reminds you of what matters most and brings you back when the world tries to pull you off course. Clarity isn't found by doing more. It's found by doing less, but with greater purpose. When you cut out the noise, the unnecessary, and the superficial, you start to see what's essential. Discipline makes that possible. It gives you the mental strength to say no. No to distractions. No to comfort. No to the habits that keep you small. It's in those moments of saying no that you make space for what truly matters. Without discipline, your emotions control you. You act out of impulse, not intention. You procrastinate, you avoid, you break promises to yourself. But with discipline, you build consistency. You learn to act based on decisions, not feelings. You still feel fear, doubt, and fatigue, but you move anyway. And every time you push through, you strengthen your willpower. That's how you gain clarity. Not by wishing for it, but by working for it. Clarity is not a gift, it's the result of structure. When you live with discipline, your mind becomes sharper. You start noticing patterns, what drains you, what fuels you, what deserves your attention. You stop wasting time on the meaningless because you've learned the value of focus. You begin to move with intention. Everything you do, from how you spend your mornings to how you handle challenges, starts to reflect purpose. Discipline also teaches emotional control. When life gets messy, most people panic. They spiral into anxiety, anger, or frustration. But those with discipline don't lose themselves in chaos. They stay calm, steady, and grounded. They respond instead of reacting. That calm doesn't come from luck. It comes from practice. Discipline trains you to stay centered no matter how turbulent things get. It gives you control over your emotions, your time, and your energy. When you're disciplined, people can sense it. There's a quiet strength in the way you carry yourself. You don't need to announce what you're doing because your actions speak for you. You move with purpose, not noise. You don't chase validation because you're too focused on execution. That's what clarity feels like, a life guided by purpose instead of pressure. Discipline requires self-respect. You can't stay disciplined if you don't believe you deserve the outcome. When you respect yourself, you hold yourself accountable. You stop settling for mediocrity. You stop making excuses. You realize that the small promises you keep to yourself are what build your character. Every time you follow through, you reinforce your identity as someone who can be trusted, someone reliable, capable, and strong. Self-focus isn't selfish, it's strategic. It's about protecting your energy so you can give your best to the things that truly matter. It's about eliminating distractions so you can create space for growth. When you focus on yourself, your habits, your mindset, your health, you elevate every area of your life. Your work improves. Your relationships become stronger. Your peace becomes deeper because everything flows from the state of your inner world. When you combine discipline with self-focus, chaos loses its grip. The noise of the world doesn't overwhelm you anymore because you're grounded in your priorities. You don't react to every opinion, every setback, every inconvenience. You operate from clarity. You know what you want, why you want it, and how to get there. You understand that focus is a form of power, and discipline is how you protect that power. Most people want clarity first and then promise to be disciplined later, but it works the other way around. Clarity comes from discipline. You have to show up every day, even when you're unsure, even when things feel messy. You have to commit to consistency before the path becomes clear. The more disciplined you are, the more focused your mind becomes. The more focused your mind becomes, the clearer your life gets. Discipline transforms your chaos into order and your uncertainty into vision. It's what helps you stop overthinking and start doing. It's what allows you to see beyond your emotions, to act with logic, and to lead yourself with intention. When you master that, clarity is no longer something you search for. It becomes the natural state you live in.